Alright, so I
Got it.
took the downtime to level up. Nobody got anything terribly useful this level. So I was checking through the quests. I think the next step is to proceed on one of the 3 main quests, all of which seem to involve talking to guards to figure out where to go. So that's our next step. What is it? I'm looking for a neighborhood with a tower. It's near a cemetery. Best you stop looking then. That place you want is Heritage Hill. You can see the tower over the district wall out that way. But something happened there. They don't let people in anymore. None of the knights want to be posted anywhere close to it. Steer clear if you know what's good for you. Okay. We're the Mad Kept in Defiance Bay. Only place around here that takes them in is Brackenbury Sanitarium. I've heard they can treat your soul there, take the madness away. But there's just as many stories coming out of a place that'll chill your blood. There's a man, if you want to call him that, Ethelmoer there. He's head warden. If you're visiting or checking yourself in, he's the one to talk to. Farewell.
Come now, it'll be fun.
No.
Even just a single...
I'm not calling Isilmir out just so you can learn he'll speak. I'll write down a few words.
So where is this sanitarium at? If it's Brackenbury Sanitarium, I assume it's in Brackenbury. I think that's a reasonable assumption based on the fact that I have played video games before, and that's how these things usually work. Run, boys! Brackenbury. Map. Charred barrel, it's probably an inn. House. Sanitarium. There's the guard. Can you tell me where the warden guy is? No, you've got useless info. Animancer. There we go. What the? That's a statue. Head Warden Ethelmir. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down unblinking over the bustle of harried academics pestering by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it, and you could sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turn toward you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it you've brought... Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? Tell me about your sanitarium. A history lesson? This is a rare pleasure. Most come here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We are an old institution as Direwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favored souls came to populate its streets in droves, thus the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding comes at a great time of suspicion in animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time, it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then, we have been at the forefront of the animancy resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways we never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Direwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand. It's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace at this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at the hearing before the Duke, absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, that could be the end of animancy in Direwood. I fear Avar may be swayed at this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. I'm curious as to why you're in a statue, bruh. In the statue, you mean? Well, he laughs. I was old, and it seemed wrong for me to a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday I would wake up in a new body none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely, all that experience wasted. If we were ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I'm quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seems to be a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again one of our animancers will humor me and consult over some problem, but they're a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Does anyone here know about awakenings? There's an animaster on the lower floor who came all the way from Revua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Belisegi. You may have a member of the Leaden Key in your midst. Ilthamar groans, and the stone around him shudders. I could have done without hearing that today. Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whether calamity has struck on its own, but a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I am reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they would be of some use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the Leaden Key as well, I take it. They are up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They are always up to something. Of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. Do you have some idea of who this person might be? I suspect it's a patient. Very well, in that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here or in the offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. That is my only request. Hey, you, where are you going? Speak with the head warden. I already did that. Alright. Animancer. You are all fucking useless, aren't you? I think you gotta talk to the person with a name. Berna. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past seem to call to you. Reach out for the soul. Oh boy. You sense a strange divide in this woman's soul, and a natural boundary between two opposed wills. You see the woman pausing by a roadside to hand something to the driver of a stopped wagon. These herbs should help with the party's sickness, she tells him. He can find more along the road, easy to spot with their serrated leaves, but avoid the ones with the green berries. It's a different species, toxic. He thanks her and offers her coin, but she waves him off, explaining that she is merely doing what her orders asked of her. He nods as she heads off down the road and begins hungrily to consume the herb. You see a woman searching along the road now, the wagon just up the path, and you realize to have skipped backwards in her memory. She sets her eyes on a plant with serrated leaves and green berries. She picks several handfuls, tearing up the berries off one by one and tossing them to the ground. She nudges them off the path into the brush quickly with her boot without looking down. as if to hide them from her own sight, before striding back toward the wagon, hands outstretched. So, you murderer, lady. I don't like that. Let's see. Oh, this guy's got a name. As you near, you feel a vibrant history containing the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. You see a dark room with garish furnishings, a large bed covered with pillows, several couches, and expensive rugs. This man is sitting in a chair pushed against the wall of the room opposite the door. He is dressed in dark clothes with a black cloak wrapped around his shoulders, its hood pulled close around his face. Shadows fall across him, the darkness rendering him virtually invisible. Two other men wait in the darkness with him, watching the door. All three are motionless. Noise from the crowded common room below echoes up through the floorboards. The handle rattles. A man staggers in, dragging a young woman with him. The two standing men exchange a quick glance, one of them tilting with his head and shrugging only slightly before jumping to the task at hand. One steps forward, grabbing the girl's wrist, wrenching it from her escort's hold with one hand while pushing the door closed with the other. Then the hand is over the girl's mouth before she's even aware she's in someone else's arms. He takes a dagger from its place in his belt and draws it across her neck. He holds her still, waits for the struggling to stop. The other standing man has already subdued their targets, now tied to a chair, arms and legs bound with a rag stuffed in the mouth. The girl, no longer moving, is placed under the bed, the man who dealt with her taking his place beside the other. They stare down at the man screaming against the cloth, but the muffled sound is unheard of over the raucous noise in the crowd below. One of the men begins murmuring softly, putting his hand under the chin of the man in the chair. There's a brief flash of light, and the man stops struggling, a suddenly placid look in his eyes. The two captors ask various questions that bound the man's answers happily. After they finish, the two look to the man sitting against the wall. He is not moved at the events transpired before him, but only sat silently, observing everything as it happened. He stands, holding the closed cloak around himself, and nods at the two men. He then walks to the door, opens it only far enough to allow himself to exit, and leaves them to finish their task. Man, why is everybody's soul I can look at an evil fuck? Aren't there any cool people? Can I just, like, murder this motherfucker? I might come back later and go on a spree of purging the... What's this? Painting, blah. Anybody in here? Oh, loot. Oh, it's a book that I probably don't... I don't care about that. And then over here. Oh, here's some people. This man's soul was torn asunder by a bill. Let's go downstairs. Moedrid. An animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in silent discourse. As your shadow falls over a scroll, he looks up with you with a mingled perplexity and irritation.
Gods keep you.
Can I help you? Has anything unusual been happening around here? You must be joking. This is a sanitarium. Nothing is usual down here. Although, now that I think of it, the patients seem more agitated lately, but they're Kadem Azo's responsibility, not mine. And if there's nothing else, what are you working on? My area of focus is wicks. More specifically, how to cure them. What's a wick? A Hellborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. What the fuck? One of the Animancy's early efforts to cure of the legacy. So, you're born without a soul and you put an animal soul? That's fucked up. That's really fucked up. He removes his spectacles and wipes his brow. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood. No, really? You don't say. But when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive. Really? People with animal souls and then become aggressive and have childhood development issues. Who could have ever foreseen that? Yes, transporting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We Animancers were trying to do something about the crisis. Better than letting this swallow a generation of children. I'm not sure if it is. He stares at a fixed point on a far wall, and despite the controversy, it only went so far because at first it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of the surroundings, of their families. He takes a slow breath. The complications didn't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between the body and the soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down Animancers and burned down their homes, with them still inside, often as not. People looked calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it, but we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Why do you study Wicks? He huffs. What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, their lives that could be restored. What could be more important? His face is reddened and he turns away from you for a moment. His head shakes. Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. I see. Good. I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. I hear that a Valian woman studied them. You should go talk to her instead. Okay.
Well met, friend.
A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pores over the pages and notes. She almost walks into you. Ecclesy! Here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kith standing in front of me. What can I do? I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. Ah, that would be me. Though the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert on counting floorboards. I would like to transfer Animancy success into a buttressing pre-awakened soul to soothing those who would have soul already awakened. But I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to produce reliable results. It is a tragedy you have come so far for nothing. You're in luck. I have a volunteer. She springs to the balls of her feet, beaming. Galliard, who is it? Atlas lips curl into a frown. I don't know about this. Good, making Ella while shaking his boots makes me happy. She grins more broadly still. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All he must do is stand in that cage. That cage doesn't look harmless at all. I beg your pardon. I jest. You Aedarians are so uptight. I do not know what the thing is used for. It belonged to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now, they upgrade him to a cell. Again, I jest. She rubs her hands together, getting down to business. So, I need you to sit here. She takes Aloth by the shoulders and steers him to the couch. And try to relax. But don't try too hard. Then you will not be relaxing. That's very true. Indeed. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. Damn, copper conducts essence? Copper's some dope shit, man. The Animancer fastens thick copper bands to Aloth's forehead and wrist. As she ratchets them tighter, his face twitches with suppressed irritation. Now I will examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long chambered tube. Knobs, dials, and a small toothed wheel run along the side of the device. It is fitted with Adra lenses cut to different thicknesses and concavities. By manipulating them, I can find the angles and densities that will allow me to track the abnormalities in your soul. How exciting. I've never seen that sort of thing performed. Khan peers at the device with interest. It seems suitably complicated. She raises a finger. But first, we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Sagani pats his arm. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Very well. To begin, tell me something personal, something from a time before your awakening. There's nothing to tell. I was just a normal child living in the Scythewood. He looks to you, his face is set in frown, the rigid edges suppressed of apprehension show through nervousness. Talk about your parents. As you speak to Aloth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into one of the mists of his own memories. Belisege doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are soothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes. Mother is away most of the time, with the Thane's family, but I always know when she's coming home. Father's battles accumulate like storm clouds on the horizon. His fits of temper become swifter and more violent. It still shames him, knowing that her hemig to another man supports us better than the labors as a steward. Haemneg? That can't be a real word, can it? This is good. I'm starting to see something. Continue. Tell us about the time you awakened. I'm in my 5th year of training. Mother is home. I can let my guard down a little because when she is around, he is usually only angry with her. But he has heard that I have had trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He is furious that I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I'm sweeping the kitchen, the next I'm sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of my blood on the tile. His boots glisten with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach, and I curl up in a shield of vials. But it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen of my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against the field of black. His jaw locks and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Madikyo! What is with these random-ass nonsense words? Belisege furiously cranks the knobs along her scope. He's hypnotizing himself with an old memory. You've got to bring him out of it. Quickly, I almost have it. I kind of want to slap him just because it would be funny. But he seems in bad shape. I want to be a little nicer. I'm going to squeeze that hand. Aloth's eyes snap open, but the expression you see in him isn't his. He's ne'er safe when I hap upon him. Belisege sucks a deep breath through her teeth. That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence. Something spreading and congealing. She glances at you over her scope. Keep talking. He seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Cracking bones and voices high in ire. That warm molasses feeling that crips down your gut when crisis is nigh. Belfetto. We have flares in a totally distinct essence. She jots shorthand notes on the pages next to her and turns one clicking knob of her scope. Now, try to get 2 of them talking. Let's go with Aloth. Ask her what she's doing. Aloth's face twists in fury. Sticking weed. Worming parasite. He bursts into sudden laughter. You'd say the same to your own kindled twig when it betrays ye. Heh, I think she has the advantage of you there, Aloth. I'm not actually sure which one was which. Good, yes, very good. She rests from her scribbling, only to take another adjustment to her scope. I can now see 2 separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. It's as if the awakened soul fills the spaces that he leaves empty. She prompts you with a circling of her wrists and quill. Go on. Isilmir, what exactly are you taking from him? Nay, more than I'm giving. You should ask what I did with the old man of his. How of the time that he laid his hand on us, I break it in 3 places. Aloth's head jerks aside. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. Nay, it was awakening, but now I'm stuck with ye, and damned if I let your kneeing drag us through the scupper. Ach, very good. She lowers her scope and consults her notes. I think I finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Isilmir's essence through the exchange. She has a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their arguments, and her essence seemed to localize more clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left rib cage. That's right around the spleen, which, of course, means that she's triggered by a black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristics melancholy is to blame. Aloth blinks back at you, and in the midst of his perturbations, you're not quite sure who he's looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit. I admit, it did kind of sound like horseshit. Look at the eyes wide and anything. It does seem as though she got one thing right. She goes to him, yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation? You're right. Oh, removing his spleen should cure him. I want to do that. It'll be funny. But no. Aloth's right. She appears when he feels threatened. The old sage carefully scratches her jaw, her gaze darting between you and Aloth. I suppose that could be true. I'll have to check this against other research. He removes the copper bands. Well and good for you, but what does that mean for me? Belisage frowns at her notes, tapping her cheeks with a quill and making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch her stealing glances at you over the pages. It's either 1 or 3. I'm going to go with 3. It seems that Isilmir steps in when she determines you are in danger. It's not clear yet whether this is a help or a hindrance. From my position, I'd say it's a pretty clear hindrance. I've got a lot to process. Regardless, thank you for your help, Various. He does not look at Belisege. She sets notes on her desk and returns to her scope. Well, I hope this has been useful for you as it has been for me. I find the material worth publishing. You'll be toast at Reavu, Finter Aloth. His grimace melts into a crooked smile. Hey, advancing the right-wise principles of animancy. That's what you always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement in the corner of your eye. Belisege is humming to herself, still occupied with her scope, but Aloth is holding her notes, just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, and his eyes widen, imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense. Fair enough, but do it quietly. He hides the papers in his cloak. Nay to worry. We'll see to this on our own. Well, alright. We made it to the sanitarium and learned that Aloth's dad was a douchebag and he has an alternate personality to beat the crap out of him. Now, onward for justice, and for that, we'll see you next time.